I'd like to welcome Angela. Angela has a strong background in enterprise computing with a track record of more than 30 years of experience in the IT industry, helping multinational companies in the deployment of ERP, CRM and SFA solutions. Angela currently leads the enterprise success team at salesforce.com to ensure that the customer continues to get more value from applications over time by deploying best practice. Please welcome Angela.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. I know I'm standing between you and your breakfast now, which is only 5 minutes away. My name's Angela Lovegrove. I'm responsible for the customer success team at salesforce.com. We look after the largest, my team look after the largest customers here in the Australia-New Zealand region. And our role is really to work with our customers to deploy sales best practice. And it's not just sales best practice we're looking at in terms of our customers, but also taking what we do inside salesforce.com, which we do very well, and sharing what we do widely. So our customers are often asking us, how do you do it at Salesforce? So today I'm going to talk about how do we practice what we preach. And before I do that, I have to share some, Salesforce.com is a publicly traded company. And just a word from our lawyers, we have a safe harbour statement, which if you cannot read, I think we've gone past it already, you can find on our website. And so just a formality that we have to do, so apologies for that. So I'm going to ask 3 questions. These are the 3 questions that we would ask our customers, but we'd also ask ourselves internally. And the first one is, how much time do your sales personnel spend in front of customers or prospects? So I'm going to ask you, the audience, to put your hand up and just to find out how many of you know how much time your salespeople spend in front of customers or prospects. Okay, a few hands, okay. A few more over there. So Salesforce participate in a survey by the Alexander Group every year. There's 700 companies take part in this survey. And this survey is all about how much time salespeople spend in front of prospects or customers. And the industry average is around 24%, okay? That means 24% of your salespeople's time in front of customers. The highest is 36%, okay? Which isn't, you know, it's not as much as probably we think it should be, I'm sure. But that's the results from the surveys that we do annually with the Alexander Group. The good news is Salesforce.com is at the very high end of that, okay? And we do that because, and I'll come on to that we have a team called the Sales Productivity Team, and their role is to make sure that the salespeople stay focused, they're not involved in too much internal things, internal meetings, and that we actually optimize the sales time. The productivity team are really like the enablement, but they're also policing, making sure that they don't get engaged in things that they shouldn't do. And this team also look at the top performers and look at what they're doing to help replicate that with the perhaps the lower performing individuals in the team. They also look at things like anything to improve process, so things that take time for salespeople, sometimes getting a price inquiry done, or they've got to do a business case, so they need a return on investment. So we have teams of people that are enabled to actually support them and make that turnaround as quick as possible. So instead of consuming hours and hours of salesperson's time, those things can be as rapid as possible. So next, so the other thing that they do, apart from that, is we also have things like executive briefing arrangements as well, where we have a centre in San Francisco where they can actually take senior leaders to meet with our senior leaders, and again, that's all organised for, you know, the process is well defined. Okay, all right. So the next, I've got 3 questions. This is my second question. How many sales calls does your salesperson need to make quota? Again, any hands on here if anybody knows what that number is? How many calls? Yeah, a few in the audience? Okay. All right, so in our organisation, a salesperson needs to make 200 sales calls a year. That's 4 calls face-to-face a week that needs to happen. And those calls need to be based on one of three things: a commitment to discovery, a commitment to the business case, or a commitment to invest. And that's how we determine whether or not it's been it is a sales call. And we need 200 of these. And to make that happen, we actually have an internal sales team as well as an external sales team. And the internal sales team are targeted on 10 calls per day. This is not just when you go to, and for those of you who've been to our website will know that you get a call pretty much instantly from one of our inside sales organisations. That's not considered an outbound call, that's obviously an inbound call. So in terms of their time, they need to do 10 calls a day and secure 16 meetings a month. This is an engine, all right? This engine in Salesforce is like nothing I've ever seen. I've been in the IT industry 30 years, and the way this is organised is incredible. So if any of you are interested in finding out more, then we can certainly arrange for you to spend some time and understand more about how we do these things. It's quite incredible. So the other thing we need to do, apart from looking at the number of calls, is also look at the number of leads. How many leads do we need to generate in order to generate the number of calls? So there's some ratios that we need to understand around number of opportunities, sales volume, velocity. So again, we actually monitor all the different stages of the sales process. And the other thing we do is compare ourselves to other companies in our industry. So every year, as an organisation, we send out a survey to 5,000 companies and basically ask them what they're measuring in terms of these metrics, as well as about another 20 other ones. And then we can actually compare by industry how you're tracking, what's your conversion rate if you're in the telco sector or in the media sector. And we can actually help companies to work out where they are. Are you at the low end or the high end of the ratio? So this is kind of another area of measurement that we look at. And the third thing we do as an organisation, the third question, what are the blockages and how do we remove them? Okay, so what are the blockages to helping salespeople be successful? And some of it's around mobility. Often they need to access information when they're out on the... So sometimes they need to access information that they haven't got hold of. And if any of you, go out on the road, often that information is difficult to get hold of unless they've got pre-prepared it. And obviously the mobile technology today has really changed that engagement model. So one of the things is enabling our teams through mobility, giving them the information that they would have if they were in the office. The other thing we do is manage the number of, look at the number of meetings, emails that they're attaining to work out whether they're actually on track. And for new staff, we also look at things like onboarding. How quickly are we onboarding new staff into our organisation? And obviously that's something we monitor very closely and make sure that they're reaching the targets that we're expecting. We have other ways of measurement within the organisation, and we look at things like our win rates, closed business. And these are all the things that Craig's going to talk more about in a while in terms of what RPM do. But it's really keeping focused, what's the impact, how do we remove the things that are not adding value. And so things like training, we actually do after work as night school. We have night school once a week on a Wednesday night. The sales team attends night school. And we also do sharing success stories where they're done at usually 8:30 in the morning to get people prepared for the day. So we've got some really good best practices, and this is all driven by our sales productivity team. So as a call to action from this really is when you go back to your organisations, there's 3 questions you need to ask yourself. If you don't know what the answers are, then pick up the phone. We'll help you. And then also create a plan then. What is the plan to get them from where you are today to where you need them to be? And if you're not sure where you need to be, then these are things that can we certainly can. We've got measurements on of where the highest levels are in the industry. And then the last bit is measure and drive results. How do you then get the results that you're looking for? And you do that. And I've got an example here of one of our leaderboards. If you look at one of our inside sales team, They have every single person in that team has a leaderboard, and they're always tracking where they are, whether at the top of the leaderboard, and everyone's really motivated by that. And the last thing I would say, which is something for the future, is gamification. So those of you who've heard that term, it's all around how do you create an environment of, the fun environment where they can compete against each other. Okay, so thank you for taking the time, and enjoy your breakfast.